Each moment we spend on social media brings with it a new set of anxiety. How do we overcome this anxiety? How do we avoid falling in this pit? Well, in this video, we're going to be exploring 4 methods, 4 strategies that you can use to improve or completely eliminate your social media induced anxiety. So make sure you stay tuned for the full duration of this video for all 4 tips, as all 4 are essential for you to avoid social media anxiety. Let's go. According to Tokeetas.com, around 12.1% of the American adult population suffer from common anxiety at some stage in their lives, and most of the time this anxiety is brought about by over excessive social media use. Now, the first thing that we can do to avoid social media anxiety is to avoid comparison in the first place, because each waking moment you scroll on the social media, you see the best moments of people's best moments. You see the highlight of people's highlights, and you immediately start comparing yourself and your life and your situation to those highlights without realizing that people do not normally post their flaws. They do not normally post the bad moments on social media. So there's no real point in comparing your, let's say, chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. If you see someone very successful on social media, chances are that they had to work for years and years and years in order to get to that stage, whereas you are still in the process of getting to that stage. So there's no use in you comparing your chapter 1 to their chapter 20. So stop comparing yourself. This is easier said than done, especially these days, because we measure ourselves and we want to measure ourselves against the best of the best, but that is not always the best choice when it comes to your mental health. The second and probably the most effective strategy on this list is to take occasional breaks from social media. I'm not talking about taking your entire life off of social media or taking the rest of your life off of social media. No. But a break of even a few hours or a few days can do wonders for your mental health. So instead of spending all those hours on social media, you spend the time simply enjoying the smaller things in life. You know, go outside, just breathe in some fresh air, for goodness sake. Read a book, engage in some constructive hobbies that you thoroughly enjoy and that can actually make you a more productive and a more successful person in the long run. Take up a new hobby, try new things, right? If it's bungee jumping, diving, I don't know what you want to do, but take up some new hobbies and try some new things to replace that time that you would have spent on social media. Because, you know, most of the time we spend on social media, we just spend on social media for the sake of entertainment, right? We scroll through reels, we scroll through shorts. That is just to, you know, pass the time, to get over boredom. But that just shows that you maybe have a little bit too much time on your hands. So consider taking up some constructive hobbies. Consider starting a side hustle like a business. Consider, you know, art. Consider anything that you enjoy in your pastime. But for me personally, reading a book is the best decision you can make, especially if it's a book about self-help, if it's a book about self-improvement, personal growth. If you can invest more time into these types of books instead of spending it on social media, your life will be changing in the months to come. So make sure you replace that time that you spend on social media, take a break from it, and spend that time on something more constructive of your choice. The third strategy that you can use to overcome your social media anxiety is stop ruminating about your posts. And what I mean about this is, you know, many times we post something in the hopes that in a few seconds or a few minutes we get thousands of likes, thousands of shares, and thousands of comments. Instead of doing that, have the philosophy of posting something and then just leaving the room, right? Leave the room, go and do something else to take your mind off of that particular post. Because oftentimes, you know what, we even refresh the feeds. If you're guilty of this, comment down yes below in the comment section. Now, we refresh the feeds to see how many likes we're getting, how many comments we're getting, and we tend to become very disappointed when we do not get the likes and the attention that we so desperately want. And I'm not excluding myself from this in any way. I still do it to this day, and that is actually the wrong approach to take. The correct approach would be is trust your post, trust the quality of your post, trust the message that you're trying to deliver, and trust that the right people will see it. If only 20 people see it, just know that those 20 people really appreciate that post, that really found that post helpful. That is better than getting 1,000 likes from bots. So have the philosophy from now on is that if you're trying to grow a social media profile, trying to grow a social media brand, really have the philosophy of creating quality posts, posting them, and then just leaving it at that, coming back to a later stage to check the analytics of that particular post instead of constantly ruminating over that particular post at that particular moment. The final and probably the most simplest strategy on this list for today is unfollowing negative content. And this is very difficult to do. Sometimes especially the Instagram algorithm gets very weird at pushing, violent content, and pushing content that we don't really want to see. But the key is that if you want to remain active on social media because you're trying to build a brand, you need to avoid these negative accounts. You need to avoid these accounts that push this negative type of content, because that is not good for your mental state, first of all, and it kind of exposes you to the wrong way of thinking. So instead of, if you don't want to take a cleanse from it, if you don't want to take a break, if you can't afford to take a break from social media, I recommend onto your following list and unfollowing the people or the pages that post negative content. Surround yourself, the more positive content you surround yourself with, the better your mental state and the better your posts are going to be, because you're going to be influenced by the motivation and the positivity, and you're going to want to carry it over. So make sure that you follow only pages and people that have a positive influence on your mental state. If you found this video helpful, I'd like to ask you to please smash the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and explain to me, how has your journey with social media based anxiety been? Let me know in the comment section. Go and follow me on social media, and I'll see you next time.